Good morning. Today we're heading out to Spectacle Reef Lighthouse as part of the work crew for the Spectacle Reef Preservation Society. Name's Chuck, channel's Restless Viking. Let's have an adventure. Spectacle Reef is the second most remote lighthouse in the United States. We were over 10 miles from the nearest shore and 18 miles from Sheboygan. It sits on a reef so named because it resembles a pair of eyeglasses.
Okay.
Work to build the lighthouse began in July of 1871 when a flotilla of 8 steamers and barges left Government Island with over 140 men. It took 4 seasons to build the tower, and the light was first exhibited on June 1st of 1874. Previous work parties have worked to get the crane serviceable after 50 years of decay.
He's swinging a little bit more.
The first task was to hoist all the supplies and tools for our work party. At Spectacle Reef Lighthouse. And this is the shoal. This is why we have a lighthouse here. After sorting gear and equipment, Patrick, the Society's president, gave new volunteers the grand tour. It was a wealth of information recited as if he had known the lighthouse all his life. Spectacle Reef was the most expensive lighthouse ever built on the Great Lakes and is considered one of the great engineering achievements on the Great Lakes.
People could live here as resident keepers, and the actually spiritual lighthouse service life is like out here. You walk out here, check this room, you must wash windows and 3 floors and every day.
Patrick shared the vision of Spectacle Reef as an education center for the public. The center will host residential keeper programs, tours, and educational events. The goal is to be operational when Spectacle Reef turns 150 years old in 2024.
Of the island here, you can see the southern point of land over here. And then there's another big hump, and that's where Sheboygan is.
Oh my God.
Jen and Colleen took on the tough task of removing decades of paint. I became the awkward helper of Marty, Jim, and Carl in the dark and foreboding dungeon. Descending into the bowels of the crib was right up my alley, and it was all it promised to be.
Welcome to the bunker. This is the famous well.
Our work for the weekend included planning for a waste containment system, continue rebuilding the crane, scraping and painting interior surfaces, replacing windows, and working to waterproof the buildings. The old pipes could possibly offer a way to route pumping equipment to remove waste from the site and dispose of it on the mainland.
There's airflow coming from somewhere.
The ancient pipes didn't seem promising at first. It felt more like an archaeology project.
Water's flowing good.
But Marty and Tom found a way to route plumbing to send future waste to a boat docked at the crib. I can't express enough my respect of the ingenuity of this volunteer organization. Their knowledge and persistence is a nod to those who built lighthouses a century and a half before. Yeah! So it's my first day as a work crew, and my first job was to be in the dungeon. And it was dark and scary and wet. And now half the crew's overboard, fighting for their lives. and only one survivor's making it to the top. So yeah, it's going pretty good. 12 miles from shore, and I don't think I'm gonna live through the night. And the straightaway, and Patrick's pulled ahead, but now it looks like she's gonna grab him. Looks like it's gonna be an exciting finish, ladies and gentlemen. And it's Patrick Now it was time for the day crew to leave some of us behind. Marty, Tom, Carl, and I would be only the second crew to spend the night at Spectacle Reef Lighthouse in decades. Well, hopefully they come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what's your story, Tom? How'd you get involved in this lighthouse business?
Well, kind of looking for something to do when I retire. Granted, that's still 15, 20 years out.
You got to get started sometime.
I was looking for a hobby that I could leave my mark on the world with. Get a text from Marty going, "Hey, interested in buying a lighthouse?"
You know, I don't doubt that. Tom made an amazing meal and we dined like kings in our castle on the lake. And the projects continued until the sun decided to call it a day.
Oil's going in.
So it is 10:14 p.m. We can see way off in the sunset some fireworks going off at Mackinac Island. It's hard to see, but we turned the crane lights on for the two tugs that are coming. So if this guy's been sailing out here for many years, the fact that this lighthouse has just popped the light on at 10 o'clock at night is going to be kind of surprising to him, because that probably has never happened. And we kind of get a kick out of that. The last keeper closed the light in 1972 when Spectacle Reef was automated. I was 2 years old. Now the light has new life and will soon have keepers watching over her again. Work still continues in the middle of the night. I think they're just making their sleeping quarters now, but I got my setup. They won't be running the generator all night, but that's where I'm staying, hooked to the crane and the scaffolding. Hopefully it holds, who knows. Got our fire going. This is the most excellent way to spend a Saturday night. So nighttime at Spectacle Reef. This is actually the tower. You know, if you're in an old lighthouse that hasn't seen human activity in a while, you gotta go up to the top of the tower. So let's go do that. Wow, did a lot of work here today. This is the kitchen. You ought to hear some groaning in this lighthouse because the wind comes through here and makes lots of different noises. And you know, it'd be really weird to turn a corner and see a face. Spectacle Reef was originally intended to be just a tower. The base of the tower is 34 feet of interlocking blocks forming a solid base with a well in the middle. The tower is fused to the limestone reef, forming a massive monolith. Where the living quarters start, the walls are 5.5 feet thick and tapered to 16 inches at the top. The lighthouse still serves as an aid to navigation for ships marking a hidden shoal far from shore. And we'll go up to the tippy tap. Go up into the lantern room. Wow. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's cool. I've never been in a lantern room of a lighthouse at night. It's pretty stout. Pretty darn cool. Let's head back down. Good morning. It is the morning of the second day at the Spectacle Reef Lighthouse. It's about 6:30 in the morning, and the sun just came up. So there's my view. The lighthouse tower, the crane, scaffolding. Got the hammock tied up between the crane and the scaffolding. It's a severe calm here in the morning. Amazingly calm this weekend. The second most remote lighthouse in the United States. It was coffee, breakfast, and more coffee, then back to work for a few hours. Then our ride finally showed up. There is still a lot of work to be done. The Spectacle Reef Historical Society could sure use your help. Become a member, donate, and if you like adventure, join a work crew. You won't be disappointed.